I haven't done one of these in a while, but sometimes it's fun to look back at old camps, some of my favorite camps, some of my least favorite camps. This is not Small Plots. This is not an episode of Small Plots. This is an episode of Afterplots. Get it? It's like afterthoughts, but plots. You understand? It's small plots, but commentary. Anyway, this was always a camp that stood out to me. You know, you go camping a lot. Sometimes some camps you completely forget about, others stick in your mind, and this is definitely one that has stuck in my mind. You can already tell just by looking at the video here that my head has a ton of mosquito bites on it. I got out of the car before finding this spot where I ended up and walked around for maybe 10 minutes before filming this and was completely eaten alive. There are so many mosquitoes. You can look even out the window there. Just thousands of mosquitoes. And that wasn't even at this spot. That was a totally different spot. I remember sitting there debating whether or not I was even going to camp that night. I was like, am I crazy? Like, this is nuts. If I didn't have the face mask that I bust out later, I probably would not have been able to camp. I didn't, or if I did, I would have to sit in my hammock net all night and all day and night. You know, there's nothing. Yeah, I mean, you'll see in a minute here. It's not. You're not, enjoying yourself without the proper netting. This was about 3 years ago. I went on this camp, and to this day, by far, by a considerable margin, the worst I've ever seen mosquitoes. Like in my entire life, they're so bad. Look at them on the wheel there, just buzzing around, just having themselves a little time. It's just, oh God, it was so bad. You know, mosquitoes are something that you have to deal with while you're camping. Bugs of all kind, not just mosquitoes. But this was untenable. I haven't even seen mosquitoes half this bad before. This was truly the worst. Thankfully, they have tapered off. This is a particularly bad year. They're always a problem, but this was a problem. Also, usually I blur out plate numbers and stuff. I don't care. This isn't my plate number anymore, so whatever. There it is. Now, at this point in the video, I'm pretty sure in my head I was still unsure if I was going to stay or not. I was, I'm filming, but I may have had to leave. That's always a possibility when you're in crappy situations like this. And I was not 100% sure if I was going to stay or not. Obviously, I did. I made a whole video, so spoiler alert, I did not leave the camp. But I may have had to. It's always, sometimes you just gotta call it. This was one of those times where I didn't have to call it. In fact, I've personally never called it. Not like that. I've shortened trips. I don't think since I've filmed Small Plots, but there's been times where I was supposed to go camping for 2 nights and I went for one instead because the weather was so just incredibly bad. That's happened a couple times, but yeah, I don't think I've ever bailed for any reason besides that. Yeah, but sometimes you have to. It's like a possibility. It's always, when met with certain circumstances that aren't worth pushing through, sometimes you just gotta leave. I guess if there was maybe like 2 or 3 more mosquitoes, I probably would have left. These bugs aren't great. Thankfully here, unlike the other spot, there's a breeze, so I'm kind of able to keep them at bay. Ah, jeez. Hope my car's not leaking anything after scraping the bottom. I have a decision to make. Yeah, I forgot coming in, I scraped the bottom of my car. Can you imagine if that would probably have been I have to leave. Like car dripping stuff on top of the mosquitoes. Really just the car dripping stuff. You don't want to be caught out. It's not something you can just wait on. Just like, oh yeah, maybe tomorrow after whatever's leaking has been completely depleted. Let's try to drive now. I probably would have left. That's what would have happened there. Oh, hey, look, this stuff in the woods. If you guys have been watching Small Plots for a while, I've camped at this spot a few times over the years. It's just like a nice, easily accessible backwoods spot. Oh yeah, I remember that. That's not there anymore. Although I haven't been to this particular campsite in over a year, so who knows what it looks like now. But yeah, there's like old, I don't know, like a cabinet, something people have cooked in it for whatever reason. I wouldn't. I wouldn't have done that. And sometimes I like to camp in the woods. For this camp, I camp in the adjacent field to the forest. I think the woods were too, even extra mosquito-y. I just kind of wanted to go on like a walk in the woods for a few miles and then find a spot, but this is insane. I'm just not going to have a good time if I force myself to go into the backwoods where there's billions of mosquitoes. What's the point of coming out here? Is to have a fun good time. Hey, at least I'm consistent. That's very true. I say that. I don't know how often I say it in a video, but I say it all the time. It's like, if you're not having fun, there's no point. Same with, like, I don't know, watching a sporting event or playing a video game. If you're like getting annoyed, if you're not having a good time, then there's no point in doing it. Now, having said that, I'm pretty sure that if I was not filming an episode of Small Plots in this situation, I probably would have left. You know, that's definitely an impetus to stay. But if I was just thinking about, oh yeah, I'm going to sit here huddled in a field getting eaten alive all night, with you know, no other reason than just to do it, yeah, probably would have bounced. So, you know, sometimes the need to film pushes you a little bit. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but yeah, so sometimes just that extra little thing being like, oh yeah, well, I do have to do this. That is something that I need to do is just enough to get you through some of the hard times. Okay, I kind of remember this. So, the first time I came to this place, I came across this gate because this is the way that Google said to come in here. Obviously, you can see this is a manicured lawn here and a road coming up through. Now, at the time when I originally reached this gate, even in my little Fiat, I was kind of somehow able to finagle it around the side, really iffy like, but they put this giant concrete thing here. This is pretty recent, so I just kind of want to go check out this area a little bit, and then I'll start to set up camp, you know, despite the mosquitoes. I did not catch it on camera, but I do remember at this point, or during this walk anyway, I saw one of the most beautiful pheasants I've ever seen in my life. It was very striking. It had a nice greens and golds and reds and blacks. It was one of the prettiest birds I've ever seen in person. It just kind of ran across this road here. It's not really pertinent to the video, but just like a fun little behind-the-scenes memory. Isn't that what a commentary is supposed to be? Just fun little behind-the-scenes, you know? Yeah. Down there more. Yeah, road goes down a little bit more. All right. Well, I'm gonna head back to my camp before somebody stumbles upon my car and steals all of my things. Whew. Yeah, kind of an unorthodox camp today. Wasn't expecting this at all. I had the whole thing. I knew where I was going to park. I knew where I was going to walk in. I didn't know exactly where I was going to camp, but I knew the trail that I was going to take and hopefully either find an established camp or make one of my own. None of that happened. None of that's happening. Yes, there's a prison right over there. That's nice. That's fun. That's good. I later learned that prison back there, I've featured it in a few videos. Well, not featured. It's been in a few videos. Is actually more used for training these days. It used to be like a full-on prison, but I guess since, I don't know, the last decade or so, it's been used for like training of prison guards and stuff like that. So there are no actual inmates there as far as I know. However, there is an in-use prison like within a mile of here, so it's still, you know, prison country, baby. But, oh, look at me run, look at me run. I can't escape the mosquitoes. But it's more than just a prison. There's actually like an entire little kind of abandoned town. I've also featured that in in the video. And when I say abandoned town, it has the prisons there. It has an empty church, which I maybe about a year or more. Yeah, it was like a year and a half or so ago. My buddies and I went and walked through the abandoned church. That was kind of cool. And there's like an old house that's just like too far gone to even try and explore. It's just like half sinking into the earth. Those are the only buildings left, I think. There are other buildings around, but I've never gotten. They look still in use, and I'm not trying to get a trespassing ticket. It's just like an old area right next to this state forest here that I'm camping in. There's even this is actually before small plots. I think it was before small plots. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure this is not in a video, but my buddy James and I were walking through the forest and came across an old abandoned like day use area that had like swing sets and an old bathroom structure and an old like picnic pavilion and all sorts of weird stuff like that. Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure that was not in a video. But yeah, this whole area used to be much more in use. People actually used to live here. Where I'm camping is in an old farmer's field. You can kind of tell. But yeah, this whole area has had a ton of recorded human history, all the way back to American Indians. There were Shaker communes or little settlements for the Shakers. There was an epileptic village or something. I don't know. There's a lot. There's a ton going on in this area. It's a fascinating history, and it's a really cool, like geologically as well. So I like camping here. I haven't been there in a minute, but I do like camping here. There was one time I was camping in this area, and this old local codger rolls up on me in a four-wheeler, and just kind of like he had lived in this area like his whole life, and I was picking his brain about certain things. That's how I got to learn that the prison is more used for training these days than actually housing inmates. And yeah, he would tell me about all sorts of stuff about how there's a gorge. I'm not camping in the gorge here, obviously, but there's a gorge that runs through this state forest. And he said you used to be able to drive cars down into the gorge, and it was like a party, and they had to like really, the state had to come and like crack down on the gorge parties and stuff like that. So yeah, he gave me a ton of like interesting little tidbits about this place, which are way more, common than two trees with flat ground between them. This might backfire, but the past couple times I've hung my hammock, it's just been like a little too high, so I'm gonna bring it down a little bit. Oh, they're getting my cheeks. My cheeks are starting to itch. Good Lord. It's God. This is gonna sound like hyperbole, but it's real. I've never seen so many mosquitoes in my life in one place. Oy. Every little breeze that comes is like a wonderful kiss from the heavens. Mm. And as I was saying earlier, that remains true to this day. I've never seen so many mosquitoes, even half this amount of mosquitoes, since this camp a few years ago. And, I'm thankful. I've camped in some pretty, I guess you call them swampy, wet places. Even this summer, even this year, I've camped at some pretty moisturous places where you would think that there would just be gaggles and gaggles of skeets. But nothing compares to this place, which was not really near. I mean, there's water in the vicinity, but obviously I'm not on water. I'm not next to a creek or a pond or anything. Oh, there goes the head net. I really needed that. That was completely needed. I'm glad I had it in my kit. I always keep little stuff like that in my kit. It's basically weightless and takes up such a little amount of space, but is such a lifesaver when you have it. But anyway, yeah, no, I'm thankful that mosquitoes have tapered off, but I'm waiting. Like every summer is like, is this summer going to be the bad summer for mosquitoes again? Is this going to be the one? Is this going to be like that one summer where it was completely insane? Is this going to be? It could be. I don't. Nobody knows until it happens. I'm sure somebody knows, but it's not me. Honestly, I might do this every time. It's going to be tough to set at an angle, at a diagonal, right now. but it's in the sleeping bag. Good enough, I guess. Okay, got my stuff set up here. Got my nice little hammock going with the Hammock Cooley UL weather shelter. It's not a tarp. Don't let me catch you calling it a tarp. I'm gonna go start. Wow, this was maybe not the first, but one of the first weather shelter jokes. This is like episode 20 something of Small Plots, probably pretty early on. This is within the first year, I think. I think it's within the first year. Either way, yeah, that joke's been going on. I try not to use the same joke for too long. I like to not recycle. I like to just regular cycle through them. And you know, people still like to reference the weather shelter. That makes me feel good. People like to remember the old times, the good times, the tarp times, the weather shelter times. It is pretty funny though. It's more, when I make fun of that, it's more me making fun of the pretentious nature of a lot of camping stuff. You know, like, it's the weather shelter. I need my weather shelter for the rain event. And not worry too much. Not used to this. Wasn't planning on it. But here we are. You can kind of see behind me here, like right here, is like a trail. It almost looks like someone's driven down it before, not super recently, but at some time in the past, year. So, all right, I'm gonna get my kindling going and just get my fire started. It's gonna be a whirlwind, baby! Got the fire going a little bit. I know people sometimes like to see me film the beginning of that, but I just wanted to get it done. And we've only just begun. Still putting the kindling on. Haven't noticed a difference in the bugs yet, but hopefully we will soon. One of these days I'm gonna make a camping video that is like none of that stuff. I'm not gonna film starting a fire. I'm not gonna film setting up camp. I'm not gonna film walking to camp. I'm not gonna film cooking on a campfire. I'm just gonna film everything else in between. Like all of the other stuff, like the more boring stuff, like the sitting around stuff, or just like looking at stuff. That stuff, because it becomes a little formulaic with the, I film myself walking to a place, film myself setting it up, film myself starting a fire. You gotta hit the food and all that stuff. People expect to see that stuff, so you gotta do it for the most part. And it's, you have to do it anyway. It's not like some campsites just won't walk there and set up a camp and cook. No, I'm still going to do all that stuff. I just won't film it. It's probably going to be my worst video ever, but one of these days I'm going to do that. Everything I do just constantly has like I'm constantly hearing it. Today, in the beverage center, we have an old friend, an old classic. You know the one. A little bit of Space Kitty. Oh, I just found out that they are doing 12 packs of Space Kitty now, which I haven't bought one yet. Usually they come in a 4-pack. 12 pack. Now that's an interesting proposition. I'd like to take you up on that proposition. Come on, Wood. Bathe me. Bathe me in your smoke. Let's go. Bring the smoke. Let's get the smoke. I need the smoke. There we go. Little bit of smoke, little bit of smoke. Well, I don't hear the buzzing in my ears anymore, but there is sweat getting into my eyes. Smoke me! Smoke me! Smoke me up! Smoke me up! Smoke me up! Ooh! I know I literally just posted a video where I went on a more backwoods camp. But I kind of miss going on these naturist backwoods camps, so I could do stupid stuff like this and not worry about being loud, during as I would be during a stealth camp. I think that's why a lot of the times I go stealth camping, I like to find places where I can have a fire, almost like simulate a backwoods experience, even though like next to apartments or like, a 7-Eleven or whatever. I don't know, those are the only 2 places I've ever camped next to, apparently. But yeah, no, I kind of like just goofing off in the woods. That's why I had a blast on my last camp. there in the spooky forest. It's just fun goofing off in the woods. You know, I still goof off in urban forests as well, obviously, but there is that element of I can't, you know, dance around and yell at the campfire like I want to. You know, sometimes you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you just want to dance around a campfire while yelling stuff at it. Like, smoke me, you know? I can't really do that on stealth camps. So it's, you know, I'm going to start going on more of these backwoods camps. And people watch the stealth camps way more, so I started doing them way more. But back in the channel's early days, it was more backwoods stuff with an occasional stealth camp. And now it's kind of the opposite. It's mostly stealth camping with the occasional backwoods. Maybe I'll try to even it out. Maybe I'll, you know, swung one way, it's going to swing the other. Maybe it'll even out. There's like in every other one. I don't know. Honestly, stealth camps are way easier for me to go on. It's not, people like to watch them more, and they're easier for me to do because I can just leave my apartment and go camping somewhere in the city or like somewhere nearby, you know, whereas these backwoods camps, I got to drive like an hour or more. So honestly, like that's a big reason. That's a big reason why I kind of stick to stealth camping. There was another time that I camped with my friends a few weeks ago where it was like 40 feet from the car. So that's basically this. But yeah, this isn't too bad. Whew. I'm gonna pop a couple 2-3 little guys in the fire just to keep it smoldering while I'm gone. And shouldn't be too long, but I want to go see if I can find that abandoned house, or at the very least see what's down that road. What's down that road right there? Here I am at the gate again. Actually, maybe this was the time. This is where I saw the pheasant. I can't remember. Either way, I didn't get it on camera. It doesn't matter. But it was definitely during this trip on this road. But this particular moment may have been the sighting of the pheasant. This is a nice little trail I'm on. Road, path. I'm not really sure what to call it. This is a long part of a long trail that stretches through a huge part of the state called the Genesee Valley Riverway or Greenway Trail, Genesee Greenway Trail, something like that. And this is part of it that I'm on right now. And I can actually start this trail up in Rochester, about an hour away from here where I live, if I ever wanted to walk down here. Here's some towers of unknown use. Now the awkward moment is going to be when a car comes down here, and I'm going to be like, sup. Now the double awkward moment is going to be when a security vehicle comes down here, and I'm going to be like, sup. Speaking of security vehicles, talking about that Greenway Trail, I hope to do it before next fall, because I turn 40 in early 2026, and I want to do it before I turn 40. But I want to take that trail. I want to walk that trail. It goes almost entirely across the state, and obviously I would film it. But I want to do that. I want to walk across New York State on this trail. I'm on the portion of the trail right now. Oh, I'm hearing something weird. But yeah, I'm gonna do that. I don't know if I'm gonna. I'm thinking like segmented it into videos per night and releasing the whole thing as one giant video. I don't know. That's irrelevant to right now. But yeah, I'm gonna walk that Greenway Trail all across the state one of these days. Hopefully within the next year. It's probably a double whammy. Me filming and drinking here. Probably don't want me to be doing either. So I gotta kind of keep a low profile. Here we are right here. Oh gosh, the mosquitoes are as bad as ever right here. Oh my gosh. Whew. Well, there's a prison right over there. And right in here is an abandoned house. I don't know if the camera's picking that up at all. But there's just an abandoned house in there. How can I get closer? There's gotta be a way for me to get closer. Okay, hang on. I'm gonna get a little bit closer. Oh my gosh, to the prison. Whoo. I'm not sure why I am not wearing the face net here. Probably because it sucks to wear. I imagine that has something to do with it. And I figured maybe I'm walking, I have a hood. There's a little bit of a breeze that'll protect me. It didn't. I was still getting eaten alive. I probably could have just put that face mask net back on. Weird thing about that, they still somehow would get inside a little bit. And a couple of times I would have to empty out the bottom. Like a small handful of dead mosquitoes would fall out. That just got trapped in the head net and probably squished against my head. And that's how they died. It's not pretty. Anyway, here's the garage of that house. When people lived here, this is what's left of the town that I mentioned earlier. This is not much, just a bunch of empty lots. I think the prison might have used this for storage. Those are old bookcases for maybe housing documents or something. Now just kept in this old garage. There's the number 3. We all like to remember the number 3. That's a good one. Yeah, not much going on with this abandoned town. Someday I do want to do like a full walkthrough of it, because so far I've only ever gone to this little house or the church, and walk next to the prison, which is just right there, kind of next to everything. But I'm sure there might be some other stuff to look at. Maybe I'll look at some of that other stuff. Well, one of these days. Maybe when I'm walking across New York State, because this is on it. This will be on the trail.
Prison, lots of barbed wire, lots of barbed wire. They got criminals in there to keep in, huh? I took my hood down and immediately regretted it. God. All right, well, I'm kind of on some old, what appears to be either like a driveway or front walk or path or something. It hasn't been paved in like 70 years. And here's just a nice field. These look like apple trees or cherry trees or something. We're out in the middle of nowhere. Now, hopefully I don't hear like a siren or something. Let's go along the tree line. Not that I'm trying to look suspicious, but I'm probably not supposed to be walking around here with a camera and a beard. So, camera and a beer, not a camera and a beard. They probably don't mind a beard. That's interesting. What is that?
Still don't know what that is. Some kind of slime mold. It looks like a moose blew its nose. It was kind of like iridescent slime. I don't know. It was very strange. But yeah, it's funny to see how paranoid I am here now, knowing in the future that probably nobody was watching me from the prison, considering it's only used for like training exercises and stuff. I don't think it's manned 24/7. I could be wrong. There could be like a guard on duty. I don't know, but probably not. And considering it butts up right against the state forest I was in, they're probably used to seeing people. So I'm a little too paranoid, but I didn't know. I didn't know at the time. This is like, I think, pretty much my first time walking around this area. I think. I can't remember actually if it's my first time or not. But I'm walking up on the church now. I don't go inside it this time. That's for a different video. But it is the only completely intact building, I think, in this little abandoned town. There it is. It's got that white X on the red, denoting that there's nobody living inside. So if it catches on fire, the firefighters will know that nobody's inside that they have to save. It's kind of like a nice little thing, so the firefighters aren't risking their lives trying to save somebody that may or may not be there. So if you ever see that X, that white X in the red, that's what that means. If you didn't know. I didn't know for the longest time. Wow, look at that brick facade falling off that old wood. I guess, what is brick but a facade? What is life but a facade? What is paint but a facade? So yeah, just kind of looking in the windows. It says Catholic Church on it, which is interesting. Like, why does it say that? Like, almost like it was like part of like a living history museum, which it wasn't. I think that this may have just been part of when this was an epileptic colony. like it was a state-sponsored epileptic colony, and I think that's why it says Catholic Church on it, like that, in that signage like that. And then when the state disbanded the epileptic colony, or really moved it down the road, I don't think it's a colony, but there is still an association for epileptics, like in the vicinity of this place. I think when they left, they tore the buildings down, like where people were living in the little epileptic village. Could you imagine during like a thunderstorm, like a thunder and lightning storm? Like, oh man, people were going nuts, probably.
Pretty much walked all around it. Let's gonna look at this cool old fence. Just a cool old fence, man.
It's not a cool old fence. That fence is stupid. Anyway, I just want to. This is kind of funny. This is like 30 minutes into the video, and I've had like what, 3 or 4 or 5, 4 musical segments. I've really cut down on them, just because you don't always need music. I was like terrified to have a moment of any consequence without having a musical backdrop to it. I've fallen off of that because it gets well, it takes a lot to source all the music. Obviously, I still have music in every episode, usually new music. Sometimes I reuse it, but wow, like back then, it's like half hour into the video is like the fourth time I use music. That's wild. That's a lot. I was legit terrified to have like any moment. I was like, oh well, you don't want people to lose interest, so there's not anything going on here really. So music, I don't know. But then also I would put it like in that instances like that. It was like, oh, exploring an abandoned church, music. You know, I've kind of learned to taper that down. You don't always need the music. Sometimes the music adds to things, but you know, sometimes the music takes away too. So you don't want to overdo it.
But opened up a new beer. It's time to go down this little way here. I'm not worried about ticks because I'm pretty covered despite it being August. And knowing that there are some old buildings in this area that we just saw makes me just even more interested to check out what is down this little like pseudo path here. Gonna have to doubly watch my feet because if there were structures here like I thought, there can be many holes or nails, you know, things that would not be great to step on, in the category of things that are not good to step on. Oh yeah, this goes somewhere. I don't know where it's going. I almost feel like the path is opening up. Oh, all right, well, is this it? Oh no, it loops around. It goes this way. Where is this path taking me?
I don't know why this was escaping me in this moment, but this path is clearly just the outer rim of the old farmer's field where the tractor equipment would ride around, you know. Tractor equipment rides around the outer rim of the field, and it creates kind of like just a mud road with like deep entrenched tracks and stuff. And that's what this is from when this was an old farmer's field. No clue how long before this, probably 50 years or more. But that's why, I don't know why that was escaping me. That's why this is like almost path-like, but not still way overgrown. It's because that's what it was. You can actually, in this whole area, if you look at it via maps, there's a few old abandoned farmers' fields just like this that have the same thing. You can see them from space, even from Google Maps.
Or something like that. And that's why it's a trail. As long as I don't happen upon like a meth lab or something. It just ends, kind of goes a little bit that way, but I don't know if, again, the camera, oh my gosh, I gotta go. Oh, I can't even drink my beer. This is terrible. I need to get back to the smoke. Whew. Oh, this is a rough one, guys. Oh, I don't even really know what to do right now. Part of me wants to sit in my car with the air conditioner on blast because I've been wearing this hoodie in 80-degree weather for the past whatever. Right here is pretty nice.
If you know me, you know I run pretty hot. And if you know me and you didn't know that I run pretty hot, well then that's new information you're learning about someone you know. But for everybody else who doesn't know me and doesn't know that I can run pretty hot, I can run pretty hot. So even like 80 degrees in a hoodie is like miserable for me. I do not like the heat. I'm very, I live in the Northeast where it still gets hot, but I'm happy to have the hot seasons be kind of contained. Otherwise, it's more better. Like what I'm trying to say is I like the chillier temps, but to an extent, not too chilly. Chilly, but not too chilly. You understand. Anyway, summer is my least favorite time of year to camp. Still love camping in summer just because I love camping, but I much prefer every other season to summer because of the heat and the bugs. It's just a lot. It's just, look at me, I'm wearing a hoodie. I got mosquitoes on my face. Thank God for that Space Kitty, man. I think it's really, it's doing a lot of work here.
Kind of godsend. Wowee. Woo! Survival. This is survival. I have to be in here for just a minute. I gotta crank the air. Sorry if the air is louder than my voice. I just have to. This is survival. Oh, my entire face itches because it's one big mosquito bite. Yeah. Ugh. My hands are itchy. The rest of me is fine. I'm saving my elbows, which are a hot spot, and everywhere else that isn't always a hot spot, but is still susceptible. I just need to take a minute here and sit in the air-conditioned car, away from the bugs, out of the sun. It just becomes unenjoyable, right? And you have these thoughts like, all right, I'm out of here. I'm just gonna go home. What's the point of camping if you're not having fun? But the thing is,
wow, what an intelligent, smart thing to say. Well, hey, at least I'm consistent on that. It's not that controversial, I think, to say. I don't. Obviously, there's type B fun. You can, type B fun being, hard in the moment, but you can laugh about it later. I think that's what this is. I think that's what I'm going through here. I wonder if a cop came by, if I could get like a DUI, because I've had a couple beers and now I'm sitting in the driver's seat of a car with the keys in the ignition. Probably, if he wanted to be overly punitive, right? I think I was more concerned about the heat, and also like cops aren't coming down here. Nobody's coming down here. I've seen, actually, I don't know if I caught it on camera, but I think I saw somebody like in my rear view mirror like a couple of times, like bicycles go by, and it like scared the crap out of me. And I was like, what was that? People just on bikes? Obviously they were biking the Greenway Trail, the aforementioned Greenway Trail. But yeah, that was definitely weird to see while cooling off. And this really is the middle of nowhere. Like, yeah, it's a trail, but it goes through farmland and forest. It's not, I don't even know, like the nearest town could be, I don't know, 10 plus miles away. I'm not really sure. Maybe more. Maybe 50 miles. Maybe 100 miles. Not 100 miles.
So I'm going to deal with it. But holy gosh! There are a lot of mosquitoes. Hey, look at that. What's up? What's up?
And here's the part where I'm just going completely insane in my car. Insane because of the mosquitoes. Insane because of the heat. Insane because of the heat and mosquitoes. I couldn't take it anymore. I'm clearly coming up unglued. The cracks are showing. The seams are becoming unsewn. And I think it's pretty clear to everyone but me. I'm just cascading into the depths of madness.
With this little guy right here. Hey, good buddy, thanks so much for the air conditioning. I'm just warm. My whole back is like a salt lick. Don't judge me. If you were out in the woods and you were hot and there were tons of bugs and you had an option to not be hot with no bugs, you would also take a few minutes to indulge yourself. I promise you. And if you wouldn't, well then I'm sorry. This is not hard. This is not hardcore camping. We do not do hardcore camping here. We do just whatever the kind that I want to do is. That's it. That's it. Maybe if one day it's hardcore, then we'll do that. But that's not the goal. That's never been the goal. It's just nice to get out in the wilderness. That's always kind of been the point of small plots, is I enjoy the small plots. You know, these little places that we go, we spend a night or two in. In a way, you kind of form a bond with them, form a little bit of a relationship with these small plots. That's been more the point of the channel, is to kind of just, you know, show that the mosquitoes. Anyway, to show that you can just get out there. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be extravagant. It doesn't have to be, you know, climbing a mountain every time. It doesn't have to be a 5-day wilderness adventure. So sometimes you can just drive a little bit outside the city you live in and plunk your butt down in the woods. It's that easy. Granted, this particular video is a terrible advertisement for that, you know.
Yeah, I was going nuts. But that is still the small plots ethos. These small little plots you're at for a little bit of time, not too long, and you form a little bond with them. They're little small plots. They're not big plots. They're small. That's what small plots is all about. But yeah, this is the kind of stuff that you do when you're just going nuts. Oh my gosh, Prince. The artist formerly known as Prince.
Oh, they just end. It must have flown away. You know, when I was in my car, I looked outside and I was like, hey, there's a pretty good wind going. There's a pretty good breeze. But now that I'm out here, there's zero wind, there's zero breeze. Just me and these bees. Mosquitoes. That's how you do it. Oh, let's go check out those bones. I'm a man who loves to see a bone. I'm a man who loves a bone. Ugh, God. I think it's pretty clear that these are human bones. I don't think there's any debate about that. All right, well, let's move away from that grisly murder scene with the human bones. Here we are back at this weird whatever this is. Somebody used it for something at some point. It's not a great...
You know, obviously other people have camped back here. There's stuff. There's burn marks in that cabinet and stuff like that. But every time I come back to this spot, I'm pretty sure I'm the only person camping in this forest these days. When I say these days, I mean I haven't been there in like over a year, but you know, quote unquote relative these days. I have a fire pit that I created in that little backwoods area, and it like never looks like it's been used. So I don't know, people stay at this spot part of the site, which is adjacent to it, and don't really go into the woods for whatever reason. It's a beautiful little spot of woods. They should utilize it. I even built the fire on a big metal sheet, so it's not gonna, you know, burn through the needles or anything. It's a big old metal sheet. It's made out of metal.
I really do feel like totally isolated and alone. I'm glad that I ended up coming to this site instead of going into the deep woods, because that would have probably been even worse with the mosquitoes. At least here I have a nice path to walk along and a car that gives me the freshest of air conditioning. Wouldn't have had that in the backwoods, tell you what. Okay, well, I'm finally sitting here in my camping chair, which is a fine place to be. I've sort of just been hanging out, feeding the fire, standing here, listening to nature. Kind of one of my favorite things to do. This bug net's keeping me pretty protected. If I don't have my hands out doing stuff, I can keep them in my pockets, and I'm pretty protected that way as well. I don't know if the camera's picking up on it, but there are currently hundreds of mosquitoes swarming around me. Yeah, there are a couple 2-3. Wow, I can see some on my face. I got bit up on my face a little bit. Yeah, Yeah, let's move this back. It's there are many out here, and there's no wind, so the smoke is going straight up. I have to stand directly over the fire. This is my life now. What a weird camp this has been. Enjoyable in many ways, and totally unenjoyable in other ways.
Sometimes I will bring a whole second camera just to film shots like that, where I'll set it up as sun is setting and wait for it to go. And then, well, I don't wait for it to go. I turn it off. And then when it's at night, I turn it back on. But then you can fuse them together. I don't think I did that with a whole second camera this time. I think I only had one camera. And then that one camera became my second camera when I got this other camera that I use, which someday I will replace, because it's like, whatever. Let's just get a new camera, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, sometimes I do bring just a second camera for those little transition shots. And sometimes the camera settles in a little bit, so the shots don't match up totally perfectly when you're fusing them together. But it's fun. It's a fun, nice thing that I like to do.
Debating whether or not to even eat right now. Like, I'm hungry. I'm a little bit hungry. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I might eat. I might not. If you've ever been solo camping, you know what I'm talking about. Or like sometimes.
If you've ever been solo camping, you know what I'm talking about. Am I right? It just happens to me sometimes. You just get wrapped up in camping, and like sometimes just forget to eat. And it's just like you think about all the work it takes to get to eating, and you're like, I don't know, man. I've never not eaten, I don't think. But sometimes I've done it begrudgingly, for sure.
Oh, we got one on fire. We gotta douse that. Oh yeah, they're cooking just fine. Good and dark. This guy over here, he's just getting a little ashy. Just getting a little ashy. Get out of here! Stop burning my dogs! I mean, yeah, burn them, but just don't burn them, you know? Ugh. Nobody understands me. Here we go. Right in the tortilla. Yeah. This is good. This is good. This is a good video. Number 2, who are you? Coming through, number 2, here we go. Nothing beats it. All right, number 3. Number 3, you and me. Number 3, it's the third. We're gonna eat. We're gonna eat the third one, number 3. So
I still really do love cooking meat directly on the coals of a campfire, but I have stopped doing it as much just because, you know, there are carcinogens involved. I'm not really trying to get cancer just because I love eating hot dogs directly off the coals. So I'm not saying I never do it. I chronicle every single time I cook on the campfire. So, I mean, you can see I have a whole video evidence of when I do and when I don't, but I haven't done it in a minute. Like, maybe, I don't know, several months anyway. Sticking things on sticks or putting stuff in tin foil, stuff like that. I am due for a steak on the coals. I will say that. I am due for a steak on the coals. It's been over a year, just about a year, a little over a year since my last steak on the coals. And that is just like, if I'm going to cook something, if I'm going to risk cancer, it's going to be to cook a steak on the coals. It's marvelous. Well, anyway, that concludes episode 2 of AFTERPLOUGHTS. Hope you guys dug a little behind the scenes info, a little chatty behind the scenes info. If you like this and you want to see more of this, I'm always looking for ways to fill in weeks where I can't get out camping. It's tough to get out camping every week. I have a job, you know, it's not camping. It would be cool if it was, but it's not. So it's tough to get out camping every single week. So I like to fill in the gaps in other ways, and this could be another way. You know, this could be one of the ways. Let me know down in the comments if you like this stuff. Well, thanks for watching till the end here, everybody. And I'll catch ya on the nexty. Am I going to do it? I tried to time it up with the end of this. Just trying to time it up. Just end the video already. End the video, Kevin. Oh my gosh. Oh, there we go. Something nexty. Mwah.